Commander Elias Ward leaned back in his chair and let out a long, tired sigh. The stars outside the observation window stretched endlessly, glittering like shards of glass scattered across black velvet. For decades he had sailed across the galaxy, fighting in battles no one else could survive. Now, after 35 years of service in the Interstellar Defense Fleet, he was finally retiring. His body ached from countless injuries patched up over time, and his mind longed for the quiet peace of solitude. Elias had seen worlds burn, colonies collapse, and countless soldiers fall. He had won victories, but at a cost that weighed heavily on him. Today, however, was different. Today the fleet had gathered to honor him. Medals would be presented, speeches would be made, and young recruits would be reminded of what a true hero looked like. Elias had expected the usual ceremonies. He had expected formalities. He had not expected them to take his casual joke seriously. "Commander Ward, what would you like as a farewell gift?" asked Lieutenant Harris, grinning with his usual reckless charm. Elias smiled faintly, not taking the question too seriously. "One alien woman to keep me company in retirement," he said, half laughing. The room erupted in laughter. Soldiers slapped each other on the back and rolled their eyes, imagining Elias, grumbling about his knees while sipping a drink beside an alien companion. "That's a very unusual request, sir," said Harris, still laughing. "I don't think anyone can deliver that," Elias shrugged. "I've earned a little peace. If anyone can manage it, it's the fleet. They've done the impossible before." The humor in the room was light, but somewhere behind the laughter, the Fleet Council had taken note. They always noticed Elias Ward, and his loyalty, courage, and quick thinking had earned him respect beyond measure. Maybe it was a joke, but in the fleet's eyes it was also a challenge. They had resources that few humans could imagine, and if the commander wanted something unusual, they would not deny him. For the rest of the day, Elias wandered the halls of the fleet station, letting the formalities wash over him. Awards were pinned to his uniform. Speeches praised his heroism and strategic brilliance. Young soldiers, wide-eyed with admiration, crowded around him, hoping for advice, for stories, for anything they could take from a legend before he disappeared from their lives. Despite the celebration, a part of Elias felt hollow. All the medals in the world could not erase the years of loneliness, the nights when the stars were the only company, or the silence that followed every battle. He longed for something more than recognition. He longed for connection, for companionship, for someone who understood the weight of a life spent in war. Even as he walked among the crowds, he could not shake the feeling that this retirement was only the beginning of something new. He was stepping out of one world into another, and he did not yet know what waited for him. That evening, as the sun set on the station's observation deck, painting the sky in shades of amber and violet, Elias received an unexpected communication. The Fleet Council's message was formal, curt, and strangely personal. "Commander Ward, your retirement gift is ready for delivery. Coordinates will be provided for arrival." He stared at the message, confused. He had expected congratulations, medals, maybe a ship of his own. A gift? This was entirely different. He wondered if it was a misunderstanding, but deep down, curiosity and a spark of excitement took hold. The next morning, a sleek starship approached the station. It was not large, but its design was unlike anything Elias had seen before. Smooth, reflective surfaces gleamed under the station lights. The air around it shimmered faintly as if bending the light itself. It was elegant, precise, and entirely alien. Elias met the landing crew at the dock. They saluted sharply, holding their composure, but there was a tension in the air, an excitement that mirrored his own. He stepped forward, wondering what exactly had been sent. His mind pictured a single alien woman, graceful and elegant, a companion to share his quiet days. He did not expect the two figures that stepped out. The first was Liara. Her silver skin glimmered under the station lights. Her eyes were sharp, amber-colored, with a warrior's intensity that made Elias instinctively straighten his back. She was tall, strong, and moved with the precision of someone trained in combat. Her presence alone radiated authority. The second was Ceres. In contrast to Liara, she had a soft aura. Her skin had a gentle golden hue. Her eyes were deep and calming, and her movements were fluid, graceful, like water flowing over rocks. She carried herself with quiet confidence, and yet there was warmth in her smile, an invitation to trust. Elias froze. Two, not one. His casual joke had resulted in not a single alien companion, but two. He had no idea how to respond. Liara stepped forward, voice strong and commanding. Commander Ward, our people have honored your service. You saved our colony from destruction years ago. This is our gift. We are here because of the debt owed for your courage. Sarah spoke next, gentle and soft. We are here to accompany you, as agreed between our tribe and the fleet. We understand this may be unexpected. We only wish to serve and to repay what is owed. Elias could hardly speak. He had imagined one companion, not a pair of highly skilled aliens, each with distinct personalities and purposes. His mind raced. How would he manage this? What was he supposed to do? The sisters exchanged a glance, each silently assessing the human before them. Liara's stance was rigid, disciplined, her eyes searching for weakness. Saris's gaze was calm, observant, but there was a spark of curiosity there too. Elias realized immediately that these were not ordinary visitors. They were intelligent, trained, and likely far more capable than he had imagined. He forced a smile. Well, I suppose two is better than one, he said, his voice steady but filled with nervous amusement. Welcome. Please make yourselves at home. We will figure out everything else together. Liara raised an eyebrow. Together, very well. But understand, Commander, I am not here to be idle. I expect to train, to maintain skill, and to ensure your safety. This is not merely companionship, Saris nodded, and I am here to support, to heal, and to understand. Harmony is important. We hope to learn from you as you will learn from us. The day passed in awkward introductions. Elias showed them around his small outpost home, explaining basic systems, life support, and storage areas. He tried to make conversation, but the cultural gap was vast. Liara's questions were pointed, tactical, always focused on efficiency and strategy. Saris's questions were softer, often about human emotion, behavior, and customs. Despite the differences, Elias felt a sense of wonder. Here were two beings from a distant star, each carrying centuries of tradition, yet each willing to enter his quiet human world. It was overwhelming yet fascinating. He realized that his retirement would not be the peaceful solitude he had imagined. It would be full of challenges, learning, and perhaps unexpected joy. That evening, as the three sat together for a meal, an uneasy truce settled in. Elias watched as Liara practiced a few combat moves, her body precise and powerful. Saris prepared simple food using techniques that Elias had never seen. For the first time in years, he felt a spark of excitement about life ahead. Still, questions remained. Could he manage two strong-willed, highly capable aliens? Would they accept him not as a warrior, but as an ordinary human in retirement? And what would happen when the universe, which never rested, decided to test them? For now, Elias allowed himself to smile. Retirement, he realized, would be anything but dull. His quiet life was about to change in ways he could never imagine. The stars outside twinkled with secrets, and he knew one thing with certainty. This was only the beginning. The next morning, Elias woke to the faint hum of the starship's engines still echoing in his ears. The sun had just risen over the horizon of the small planet, where his retirement outpost was located, casting a soft golden light across the metallic structures. It was quiet, peaceful, and completely different from the chaos of space battles he had grown accustomed to. For the first time in decades, he had time to breathe, to think, and to imagine a life beyond the endless missions and skirmishes. Yet, the peace was deceptive. Outside the main viewing window, two figures moved with purpose, as if studying the world around them with eyes that missed nothing. Elias had already met them yesterday, yet seeing them again in the morning light made their presence feel even more real, almost surreal. Liara, the silver-skinned warrior, stood tall and alert, scanning the horizon with sharp amber eyes. Saris, in contrast, moved with grace, her golden skin reflecting the sunlight, a soft smile on her lips as she studied the outpost's layout. Elias took a deep breath and stepped outside to greet them. "Good morning," he said, trying to sound casual. "I hope you slept well." Liara's expression was unreadable. "Sleep was sufficient," she replied crisply. "Our bodies do not require extended rest, but rest is valuable to maintain efficiency. I am ready to begin training or any activity you require." Saris chuckled softly, a sound that reminded Elias of wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I found the quarters comfortable. Thank you for preparing them. But rest is not only about efficiency, it is also about comfort and peace. I hope we can find time for that, Commander." Elias smiled faintly. Their differences were striking. Liara was all precision, discipline, and intensity, while Saris was patience, curiosity, and calm. They were like two sides of a coin, and somehow they both belonged under his roof. He wondered how he would manage both of them at the same time. Breakfast was a quiet affair. Saris prepared a simple meal using ingredients Elias had on hand, yet her methods were elegant, almost ceremonial. Liara, on the other hand, ate quickly, analyzing every bite, her movements deliberate and efficient. Elias tried to keep up, but he quickly realized he was being outmatched in both speed and attention to detail. He chuckled quietly to himself, remembering how many times he had thought he was clever in the field, only to be outsmarted by the unexpected. After breakfast, Elias decided it was time to introduce them to the outpost systems. "This is the communication hub," he said, guiding them to a room filled with blinking panels and holographic displays. "Through this, I can reach nearby settlements, fleet stations, and emergency signals. It's simple but reliable." Liara stepped forward, scanning the room with a critical eye. "Your technology is functional but inefficient in certain areas. If efficiency is a priority, upgrades could enhance performance." Elias nodded. "I know. I've been meaning to improve it, but retirement didn't seem like the right time." "Until now," Saris smiled. "Perhaps we can help. Understanding human systems is valuable, and cooperation benefits everyone." As the day progressed, the sisters explored different aspects of the outpost. Liara inspected the security measures, testing the doors, alarms, and perimeter sensors. She moved with military precision, noting every potential weakness and improvement. Elias watched, impressed by her expertise, yet also amused by her seriousness. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, and he realized that her presence would never let him feel unprepared or complacent. Meanwhile, Saris focused on the human environment. She asked questions about Elias's daily routines, the reason for certain objects, and the meaning behind his habits. She touched books, tools, and personal mementos, showing a genuine interest in understanding human culture. Elias found her curiosity refreshing. For so long, he had interacted with humans only in the context of missions, conflict, or orders. To be observed with such care and patience by another intelligent being was both strange and comforting. Despite their differences, the sisters began to learn from each other. Liara reluctantly admitted that Saris's methods sometimes produced better results, especially in areas involving diplomacy or problem-solving. Saris in turn recognized that Liara's discipline and vigilance were invaluable in ensuring safety and preparedness. Elias observed silently, fascinated by the way they adjusted and by the subtle bond forming between them. Evening arrived, bringing with it the soft glow of the planet's twin moons. Elias sat outside on a small terrace, enjoying the quiet while the sisters followed his example. Liara stood near the edge, arms crossed, her gaze fixed on the distant horizon. Saris sat cross-legged, her eyes reflecting the moons as she spoke softly. "Commander," Saris began, "I find this place peaceful. It is different from our home planet, yet it has warmth. I hope we can adapt to it fully." Elias nodded. "It will take time. We are all learning from each other. I never expected retirement to be like this, but I think I might enjoy it more than I thought." Liara spoke next, her voice quieter than usual. "I am not accustomed to peace. My life has always been training and battle, yet I see value in this place. It will teach me patience, observation, and cooperation. It will also teach me about humans, Commander. Perhaps you underestimated your species." Elias laughed softly. "Maybe. Or maybe I just know that humans can surprise even the most prepared alien warriors." The night passed, and with it came a small storm. Rain fell in soft sheets, bouncing off metal and glass. The sisters moved with the storm, checking systems, adjusting power, and ensuring the outpost remained safe. Elias watched, both proud and humbled. These beings, sent as a gift, were already proving their worth in ways he had not imagined. They were not merely companions. They were protectors, teachers, and students all at once. Days turned into weeks, and the rhythm of life began to settle. Elias, Liara, and Saris developed routines. Morning exercises became shared rituals, where Liara trained both herself and Elias in combat techniques adapted for Earth and human physiology. Saris introduced him to meditation, new foods, and even the art of observing the stars with patience rather than urgency. Yet, as the household adapted, subtle tensions arose. Liara was strict, often challenging Elias's decisions, pointing out flaws he did not see. Saris, in contrast, questioned his emotional responses, his hesitation and even his humor, seeking to understand rather than judge. The contrast sometimes led to arguments between the sisters, and Elias often found himself mediating, using the skills he had honed over decades of conflict to maintain harmony. Despite the challenges, Elias realized something profound. He had asked for one companion as a joke, but the universe had given him two. Each was different, each challenging him in unique ways, and each teaching him something he had long forgotten about life beyond war: patience, empathy, and the simple joy of companionship. One evening, as the moons rose again, Elias sat with the sisters on the terrace. They were quiet, each lost in their thoughts. The air was crisp, filled with the scent of rain on metal and earth. Elias broke the silence. "I have spent most of my life in space fighting wars and following orders," he said slowly. "I never imagined that retirement would bring something like this. I never imagined that I would have two beings from another world choosing to live with me, teach me, and even challenge me. It is more than I could have hoped for." Liara tilted her head, her expression unreadable. "We did not come for hope. We came for duty and honor, yet I see value in your presence, human. You have survived more than I expected. You have earned our respect," Sarah smiled softly, "and I see kindness, humor, and resilience. There is much to learn from you, Commander. I hope we can continue this journey together." Elias felt a warmth in his chest he had not felt in years. The battles, the losses, the endless nights in space, all of it seemed to fade when he looked at them. Life, he realized, was unpredictable. It could give far more than expected if one was willing to accept it. Little did they know, the calm they enjoyed was temporary. The universe had a way of testing even the most careful plans. Unseen threats drifted through space, and distant enemies had long memories. Retirement was not going to be simple. It would be a test of trust, courage, and loyalty for all three of them. Yet for now, Elias allowed himself a rare moment of peace. Two unexpected companions, a quiet outpost, and the endless sky stretched above them. This was the beginning of a new chapter, one that promised challenges, discoveries, and perhaps something he had long forgotten: hope. As the night deepened and the twins' moons reflected off the calm pools near the terrace, Elias realized that his joke had led to a gift far greater than he could imagine. Two alien women, strong, intelligent, and full of life, had entered his world. And whether he was ready or not, his life would never be the same again. For the first time in decades, Elias felt something he had long thought impossible: anticipation. Not for battles, medals, or missions, but for life itself. The morning sun rose over Elias's quiet outpost, casting long shadows across the metallic ground. Birds, unfamiliar to human eyes, chirped softly among the sparse vegetation that bordered the station. For Elias, it was a morning like many others in the past few weeks. Peaceful, calm, yet charged with anticipation. Life had started to settle into a rhythm, though not the quiet retirement he had once imagined. Liara was already awake, standing in the training hall, her silver skin glinting in the soft light as she practiced a series of combat maneuvers. Each movement was precise, controlled, and powerful, reflecting years of rigorous training. Her amber eyes scanned every motion, every step, making corrections as if she were both student and teacher at the same time. Elias watched her silently, leaning against the doorway. "You move well," he said finally, breaking the silence. "Faster than most of my old recruits, that's for sure." Liara's lips curved into a faint smile, but her gaze remained steady. "I am not here to entertain, human. I am here to maintain readiness. You never know when threats will appear. It is better to be prepared than regretful." Saris appeared behind Elias, carrying a tray of breakfast items she had prepared. The smell of freshly baked bread and a sweet fruit puree filled the room, contrasting with the intensity of Liara's movements. "And yet," Saris said softly, placing the tray on the table, "life is also about balance. Strength is important, but so is harmony. Commander, perhaps you can help Liara see that?" Elias rubbed the back of his neck, a smile tugging at his lips. "I'll try. But convincing a trained warrior that relaxation is important might be harder than convincing a starship to fly without fuel." The sisters exchanged a glance, an unspoken communication between them. Elias realized they understood each other in ways he did not yet fully grasp. Liara paused her training, clearly considering Saris's words. Elias sensed a small victory for diplomacy and a chance to ease the tension that often flared between the two. Breakfast was a quiet meal, each person focused on their own thoughts. Liara ate quickly, efficiently, and almost mechanically, while Saris moved gracefully, savoring each bite and offering commentary on flavors and preparation methods. Elias found himself caught between amusement and admiration, marveling at how different these beings were from one another, yet how much he could learn from both. After breakfast, Elias led the sisters outside for orientation. The outpost sat on a high plateau overlooking a vast valley filled with alien flora and rock formations. Beyond the valley, the horizon stretched endlessly, dotted with distant mountains and rivers. Elias wanted the sisters to understand the terrain in case they needed to defend the station or explore the surrounding area. Liara moved ahead, scanning every detail with precision. "The cliffs are unstable in certain areas," she said, pointing to cracks in the rock faces. "A direct approach would be dangerous. Alternative paths must be considered." Saris walked alongside Elias, her gaze sweeping the landscape with curiosity. "The plants here are fascinating," she said softly. "Some could be useful for medicine or nutrition. There is knowledge in everything, even in places humans overlook." Elias nodded, realizing the sisters were approaching life in different ways. Liara with caution, Saris with curiosity, and he had to find a way to balance both approaches. It was a challenge he had not anticipated when he jokingly requested a companion for retirement. Over the next few days, tensions began to surface more clearly. Liara often challenged Elias's decisions, questioning his approach to even simple tasks. Saris, on the other hand, questioned his emotional responses and reasoning, gently probing his habits and perspectives. It was as if both sisters were testing him, but in different ways. One afternoon, as Elias repaired a section of the outpost's energy conduit, Liara approached him with a serious expression. "Commander, your method is inefficient. You could achieve better results with a different approach." Elias sighed, wiping sweat from his brow. "I know, Liara, but I've been doing it this way for years. Sometimes experience outweighs efficiency." Saris stepped closer, placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. "And yet, Commander, learning new methods does not diminish experience. Perhaps we can work together to find a balance." The three of them worked side by side, a mixture of human ingenuity, alien precision, and careful observation. Slowly, the household began to find a rhythm. Yet despite the progress, small conflicts continued. Liara's insistence on discipline sometimes clashed with Saris's gentle guidance. Elias found himself acting as a mediator, using his years of leadership experience to maintain harmony. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Elias reflected on the situation. He had asked for a companion as a joke, not realizing the challenge of living with two strong-willed, intelligent beings from another world. Yet, despite the difficulties, he felt a growing sense of connection. The sisters were teaching him patience, perspective, and a deeper understanding of life beyond human concerns. The following day brought a new challenge. While Elias and the sisters explored a nearby canyon for resources, they noticed unusual movements in the valley below. Shadows shifted between rocks and vegetation, and faint sounds carried on the wind. Liara immediately assumed a defensive stance, scanning for signs of danger. "These are not native creatures," she said, her voice tense. "They are armed, organized. Mercenaries, most likely." Elias's heart quickened. He had hoped for a quiet retirement, but it seemed the universe had other plans. "We need to get back to the outpost," he said, already calculating routes and strategies in his mind. Saris's expression grew serious. "Commander, we must be careful. They may not attack immediately, but their presence is a threat. We must prepare." The trio returned to the outpost, moving with urgency but maintaining control. Elias coordinated the defenses, checking energy barriers, reinforcing doors, and activating security drones. Liara assisted with precision, analyzing potential weaknesses and positioning defenses where needed. Saris monitored systems and provided guidance, ensuring that every precaution was taken. As night fell, the mercenaries became more visible. Small ships hovered above the valley, scanning the outpost with bright lights. Elias watched from the observation deck, his mind racing. He had retired from active duty, yet here he was, strategizing like he had done hundreds of times before. The stakes were different now. It was no longer just about duty or orders. It was about protecting the people who had come into his life unexpectedly and who had grown to trust him. Liara prepared for combat, checking weapons and reviewing tactical options. Ceres moved among the systems, ensuring that defensive measures were functional and ready. Elias took a deep breath, feeling the familiar rush of responsibility and adrenaline. Despite his retirement, his skills had not faded, and he knew that he was capable of protecting them. The first skirmish was sudden. Mercenary drones appeared on the horizon, descending rapidly. Liara took the lead, intercepting them with precision strikes while Elias coordinated countermeasures from the control center. Ceres provided support, analyzing energy flows and stabilizing defenses when necessary. The three of them moved in unison, a blend of human strategy and alien skill. The battle was intense but brief. The mercenaries underestimated the coordination and ingenuity of their opponents. Elias's knowledge of tactics combined with Liara's combat prowess and Ceres's technical support overwhelmed the attackers. One by one, the drones were neutralized or forced to retreat. After the skirmish, Elias stepped outside to survey the aftermath. Liara and Ceres joined him, their expressions serious but composed. "This was only the beginning," Liara said. "They will return if they think we are weak," Ceres added, "and we must be ready. But we have proven that together, we can face challenges stronger than any one of us alone." Elias nodded, feeling a sense of pride. His retirement was not what he had expected, but he realized that life with these two companions was teaching him something more valuable than medals or recognition. It was teaching him trust, cooperation, and the power of unity across different worlds and experiences. That night, as the outpost settled into quiet once more, Elias reflected on the journey so far. Liara and Ceres were no longer just a gift or a joke. They were partners, friends, and perhaps something more. They challenged him, supported him, and forced him to grow in ways he had long forgotten. The stars outside twinkled in silence, hiding countless secrets and possibilities. Elias knew that the universe would continue to test them, but he also knew that together they could face anything. His retirement was no longer a withdrawal from life. It was the start of a new adventure, one filled with unexpected bonds, challenges, and discoveries. And for the first time in decades, Elias felt truly alive. The morning sky was painted in shades of pink and gold as Elias stood on the terrace, observing the calm valley below. The outpost had regained its peaceful rhythm after the skirmish with the mercenary drones, but Elias knew that peace was temporary. Liara stood beside him, her posture rigid and alert, scanning the horizon as if expecting the threat to return at any moment. Ceres followed close behind, her eyes calm but her senses equally attuned to danger. Elias took a deep breath, letting the warmth of the sun wash over him. "We did well yesterday," he said quietly, "but I have a feeling this is only the beginning. They will come back and we need to be ready." Liara's amber eyes narrowed. "If they return, we will face them with strength and precision. We cannot allow them to take anything from us, least of all the people under our protection." Ceres nodded, her expression soft but determined. "And we must protect the harmony of this place. Violence is necessary only when all other options fail. We need a plan that ensures both safety and balance." Elias felt a surge of pride. These two alien women, sent to him as a gift he never expected, had become more than companions. They were partners, allies, and teachers in their own ways. Yet he could not ignore the reality. The universe did not grant peace easily, and threats lurked where they least expected them. By mid-morning, small ships appeared on the horizon. Mercenaries had returned, more numerous and organized than before. They hovered above the valley, scanning the outpost with bright searchlights. Elias's heart raced, but he forced himself to stay calm. Panic had no place here. Strategy did. Liara moved quickly to the armory, retrieving energy weapons and checking the readiness of combat drones. Her movements were swift, precise, and deliberate. Ceres went to the control room, monitoring sensors, energy flows, and defensive systems. Elias, relying on decades of experience, coordinated their actions, assigning positions, timing maneuvers, and ensuring that every potential weakness was covered. The first wave of mercenary drones descended rapidly, attempting to breach the outpost's perimeter. Liara intercepted them with lethal efficiency, using advanced combat skills that left Elias in awe. She moved like a storm, precise and unstoppable, neutralizing threats before they could even fully form. Ceres provided critical support, rerouting energy, stabilizing damaged systems, and predicting enemy movements based on sensor readings. Elias observed their coordination and felt a profound sense of accomplishment. What had begun as a joke, a casual request for a companion in retirement, had transformed into a true partnership. Together they were stronger than the sum of their parts, a blend of human ingenuity and alien skill. The battle intensified. Drones swarmed the outpost, testing defenses at multiple points simultaneously. Elias adjusted power distribution, diverting energy to shields and weapons as needed. Liara confronted intruders directly, her combat prowess unmatched by anything Elias had faced in his career. Ceres's calm presence allowed them to anticipate threats and respond effectively, her understanding of human technology blending seamlessly with her alien knowledge. Hours passed in tense combat. The outpost trembled under the pressure of the attack, but Elias, Liara, and Ceres remained unyielding. Every maneuver was calculated, every decision deliberate. The mercenaries, confident in their superior numbers, were unprepared for the unity and intelligence of their opponents. One by one, their drones were disabled, forced to retreat, or destroyed. When the final drone fell, the valley returned to silence. Smoke and debris hung in the air, but the outpost stood intact. Elias stepped outside, surveying the damage and ensuring that no threats remained. Liara and Ceres joined him, their expressions serious but composed. "You did well, human," Liara said finally. "I underestimated your capability. You are more than a retired commander. You are a protector." Ceres smiled softly. "And you have shown wisdom, courage, and care. We trust you, Commander. Together we have faced a threat greater than any of us alone could have handled." Elias felt a warmth in his chest he had not experienced in decades. The battles, the training, the stress, all of it had led to this moment. He realized that his retirement had not taken him away from danger. It had placed him in a new kind of challenge, one that tested loyalty, trust, and unity. As evening approached, the trio worked together to repair the outpost. Liara strengthened defenses, ensuring that no weak points remained. Ceres restored systems damaged during the battle, optimizing energy flow and stabilizing critical components. Elias coordinated the repairs, offering guidance where needed, and learning from the sisters' unique skills. During a brief pause, Elias sat with the sisters on the terrace, watching the stars emerge. The battle had tested their bond, but it had also strengthened it. He realized that life's true value was not in medals or accolades, but in the trust and loyalty shared between those who relied on one another. "You both fought well," Elias said quietly. "I never expected retirement to be like this, but I cannot imagine it any other way now. You have shown me the meaning of partnership and trust in ways I had forgotten." Liara's amber eyes softened slightly. "We did not come for friendship, human. We came to honor a debt, yet I see value in this bond. You have earned respect and perhaps something more." Ceres reached out and gently placed her hand on Elias's shoulder. "We are not merely companions or gifts. We are allies, and now we are a part of this life. Together we face challenges, and together we protect what is important." The words resonated deeply with Elias. For so long he had believed that his path in life was solitary, defined by duty and service. Now he understood that connection, loyalty, and shared purpose could bring a meaning far greater than any mission or medal. As night fell, Elias reflected on the events of the day. The mercenary attack had been a test, not only of their skills but of their unity. Each of them had played a crucial role, and each had learned something about the others. Liara had seen that humans could be clever and adaptable. Ceres had observed courage and decisiveness. Elias had witnessed loyalty, strength, and dedication in a way he had never imagined. The stars above twinkled like distant promises, and Elias knew that challenges would continue to come. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and often harsh, yet he no longer faced it alone. By his side were two remarkable beings, each bringing their own wisdom, skill, and heart to the partnership. Over the following days, Elias, Liara, and Ceres continued to strengthen their defenses and routines. They trained together, repaired systems, and explored the surrounding areas, always alert to potential threats. Their bond deepened, built on trust, respect, and shared experiences. Small moments of humor, curiosity, and care began to punctuate their days, creating a sense of family that Elias had long thought impossible. One evening, as they watched the twin moons rise, Elias spoke quietly. "I asked for one companion as a joke, I never imagined that I would receive two, and that both would change my life in ways I could never have expected. You have taught me that even in retirement, life can be full of challenge, growth, and connection. Liara's gaze softened, a rare moment of vulnerability breaking through her usual composure. We have seen strength, wisdom, and courage in you. You have earned our trust, and perhaps our respect is more than duty alone. Sarah smiled gently, her eyes reflecting the moons above. We have faced danger together, learned from one another, and discovered that unity is stronger than solitude. Together we are more than individuals. Together, we are a force that cannot be underestimated. Elias felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Retirement had not brought the quiet solitude he once sought. Instead, it had brought challenge, companionship, and purpose. He realized that life's greatest rewards were not in the absence of difficulty, but in the bonds forged while facing it. As the night deepened, the outpost stood strong, the stars above witnessing the union of human ingenuity and alien skill. Elias, Liara, and Saris had proven that trust, loyalty, and courage could overcome even the greatest threats. The mercenary attack had been a test of strength, but more importantly, it had been a test of heart. For Elias, it was a reminder that life's unexpected gifts, two alien women sent as companions, were far more valuable than he had ever imagined. They were not just a gift. They were partners, allies, and friends who had chosen to stand with him, ready to face whatever challenges the universe would send next. And for the first time in decades, Elias felt truly ready, not just for retirement but for whatever adventures awaited him, knowing that together, they could overcome anything. The morning sun spilled over the valley once again, painting everything in warm gold. Elias stood on the terrace of his outpost, breathing in the fresh air and looking at the horizon. The battles, the threats, and the challenges of the past weeks had changed him in ways he could never have imagined. He was no longer simply a retired commander. He had become part of a partnership that transcended species, experience, and expectation. Liara appeared beside him, her silver skin glowing softly in the sunlight. Her amber eyes, usually sharp and focused, now held a glimmer of ease, a subtle softness that hinted at trust and even fondness. "The valley is calm," she said quietly. "For now. But we must remain vigilant." Saris followed shortly after, her golden skin reflecting the early light. She carried a small tray of fresh fruit and water. "And yet, Commander," she said softly, "calm is a gift we should appreciate. We have faced danger and we have survived. It is a moment to breathe, to reflect, and to grow." Elias smiled, feeling a rare lightness in his chest. "I never imagined retirement could be so active," he said. "But I also never imagined that I would have two companions like you by my side. I have learned more from both of you than I ever expected." Liara's gaze softened further, a rare expression that Elias had begun to notice in moments of reflection. "We did not come as companions for comfort. We came to honor a debt, but we have seen your courage, your loyalty, and your skill. You have earned respect and, more importantly, trust." Saris placed her hand gently on Elias's shoulder. "And we have seen the human capacity for care, wisdom, and resilience. We have learned from you, and in turn you have learned from us. That is the true gift of this time together." The three of them shared a quiet moment, watching the twin moons rise above the distant mountains. Elias felt a sense of peace that he had never known. The battles had tested them, but they had also strengthened the bond between them. They were no longer simply human and aliens. They were a team, a family, and perhaps something even deeper. Over the next several days, life settled into a new rhythm. Elias began teaching the sisters more about human ways, sharing stories of his past, explaining the traditions of Earth, and even teaching them small, simple joys, the taste of tea in the morning, the beauty of a sunset, and the quiet comfort of shared silence. Liara, who had always been disciplined and serious, began to smile more often. She learned the value of patience, the importance of rest, and even the subtle art of humor. She practiced combat, but now with a new sense of purpose, understanding that strength was not only about fighting, but also about protecting and nurturing. Saris continued to teach Elias about alien technology, healing methods, and meditation practices. She guided him in understanding himself in ways he had never thought possible, helping him see that courage was not only about facing external threats, but also about embracing growth, change, and emotional connection. The three of them explored the valley and surrounding areas together, They discovered hidden caves, unusual plants, and even small creatures that were unique to the planet. Elias marveled at the world through their eyes, seeing both the wonder of alien life and the similarities it shared with humanity. Their adventures brought laughter, lessons, and a sense of unity that grew stronger with each day. One afternoon, while repairing a damaged communications array, Elias paused to look at the sisters. "You know," he said, smiling, "I thought I wanted one companion as a joke. I never imagined I would have two, each so different, each teaching me something new." "You have changed my life." Liara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "And you have shown us that humans can be brave, clever, and adaptable. We have learned much from you, Elias Ward. Your experience and guidance are invaluable." Sarah smiled warmly. "We came as a gift to honor your service, but in truth, the gift has been mutual. You have given us purpose, companionship, and understanding. Together, we have formed something rare, a bond that transcends duty or expectation." As night fell, the three of them sat together outside, the stars above twinkling like distant beacons. Elias felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had spent decades in space facing danger, loss, and solitude. Yet now, in his retirement, he had discovered a new kind of purpose, one filled with connection, trust, and shared life. Suddenly, a faint signal appeared on the communications array. Elias checked it carefully. It was not a threat, but a message from the interstellar fleet acknowledging his service once again. They had monitored the mercenary activity and were impressed by the skill and coordination displayed by Elias and his companions. Liara's eyes flickered with interest. "The fleet recognizes your abilities, human. They may attempt contact again, but it seems they acknowledge your new role here," Saris added. "It is a validation, but also a reminder. The universe is vast, and challenges will continue. Yet together you are ready." Elias smiled. "I suppose retirement does not mean the end of responsibility. It just means a new kind of challenge, one we face together." Days passed peacefully. The mercenary threat faded into distant memory, and the outpost thrived. Elias, Liara, and Saris developed routines that balanced work, training, and relaxation. They laughed together, learned together, and faced each day with shared purpose. The initial awkwardness and cultural clashes had given way to respect, understanding, and deep connection. One evening, while watching the moons rise above the horizon, Elias realized something profound. He had asked for one companion as a joke, but the universe had given him two. Each had challenged him, taught him, and inspired him in ways he never imagined. They had become more than companions. They were family, partners, and friends who had chosen to stand by his side. Liara spoke softly, her tone almost reflective. "We have faced danger, learned from each other, and discovered the strength of unity. I never imagined that serving a human could teach me so much, but I have learned patience, strategy, and the value of trust." Sarah smiled gently. "And I have seen courage, wisdom, and compassion in ways I could never have anticipated. Together we have created something rare, a harmony between worlds, experiences, and hearts." Elias felt a warmth that went beyond gratitude. He understood that life's greatest gifts were not medals, accolades, or victories, but the bonds formed through trust, loyalty, and shared experience. The universe had tested them, and they had emerged stronger, united, and ready for whatever came next. The following weeks brought simple joys. They tended to the outpost together, explored the valley, and even cultivated small gardens with alien and earth plants. Elias taught Liara and Saris about human traditions, from simple meals to storytelling by the fire. In return, the sisters shared their cultures, songs, and knowledge, creating a vibrant tapestry of life that blended earth and alien worlds. Through it all, Elias realized that he had found something more valuable than he had ever expected. Retirement had given him not solitude, but connection. It had given him not rest, but purpose. And it had given him not one, but two companions who had become his allies, his teachers, and his friends. One night, as the stars shimmered above, Elias spoke quietly. "I never imagined retirement could be this alive. You both have taught me that life's value is measured not by what we achieve alone, but by what we share, protect, and grow together." Liara nodded, her amber eyes reflecting the light of the moons. "We have seen your strength, human, and we have learned from it. But we have also learned from each other, and together we are stronger than any one of us could be alone." Saris placed a hand on Elias's, her smile gentle and warm. And we have discovered joy, harmony, and understanding. Together we have created a life full of meaning, trust, and companionship. Elias looked at them, feeling a sense of completion he had never known. The universe had given him a gift he had not anticipated. Two extraordinary beings who had transformed his life. They had faced danger, shared wisdom, and built a bond that transcended worlds. As the moons rose high above the valley, Elias, Liara, and Ceres stood together on the terrace. The outpost glowed softly in the night, a beacon of unity and strength. The challenges of the universe remained, but they faced them not as individuals. But as a team, Elias realized with quiet satisfaction that his retirement had not marked the end of adventure. It had marked the beginning of a new life, one filled with connection, purpose, and the extraordinary gift of companionship. The future was uncertain, the universe vast and unpredictable, yet he knew that together they could face anything, and for the first time in decades, Elias felt truly at peace, ready to embrace the life he had never imagined, with two remarkable companions who had changed everything.